Hello guys, good evening. This is going to be a seriously cozy one, so if you haven't got one yet, pause this, grab yourself your favourite drink, whatever is appropriate for whatever time of day it is, tea, hot chocolate, maybe even wine, because we're going to sit down and just have a catch up. I popped a Q&A question box on Instagram a few days ago, so if you don't already follow me on Instagram, but you want to be able to contribute to things like that in the future so I can answer your questions, or just, to be honest, hang out with me more on like a day-to-day kind of vibe, then definitely go follow me on Instagram. It's the same handle as I've got on here, so Ellen Alice Miller. But to those of you that sent in your questions, thank you so much. We've honestly got quite a lot to go through, so I'm gonna just answer as many as I can and probably split this up into sections, but I have to be careful that I don't end up yapping for way too long, because tonight is feeling next level cozy. I've obviously got the candles lit. I know it hasn't even been Halloween, but tonight, dare I say, it is feeling quite festive. The Christmassy vibes, they're on their way. It is too soon, but just for tonight, I'm feeling all the cozy festive vibes. Anyway, let's dive straight into the questions. I think I'm gonna start with career, YouTube, 9 to 5, all of the work related questions, and then we'll move on to relationship, wedding, babies, all that kind of stuff after that. And then I'll finish off on probably some of like more personal things to me. So fitness, diet, any questions relating to things that set out of like work and relationships basically. So I had quite a few questions that were asking, am I working my 9 to 5 job anymore, or have I gone full time? And that's probably because my 9 to 5 videos, I think, are how a lot of people have found my channel. They're the videos that have blown up for me the most. So if you found me via that route, I understand that it would be a little bit confusing if you haven't kind of followed my journey to where I am now. But for now, I am doing YouTube full time. There's also quite a lot of questions in here about, am I missing my corporate work life at all? And whether I'm going to continue doing YouTube full time or if this is just a trial period. So to answer all of those kind of 9 to 5 corporate life versus YouTube questions, I feel like as most of you know now, I worked for 7 years for one of the big 4 in a corporate job. It was basically HR consulting. I didn't work in HR, I was a management consultant, but the topics that I was consulting businesses on were all people related jobs. So most of the things that you think about when it comes to HR. So a company would ask for our advice on, we really want to improve how we pay and reward our employees. Can you help us with that? Or we really want to do some leadership development, or we want our learning systems and tech to be improved, or whatever it might be, we would consult on people-related challenges that businesses would have. I really enjoyed it, but I always felt like there was something slightly missing, and I've always felt my personality is split quite 50-50 between being quite corporate and loving that side of myself and wanting to be part of a big business, going into the city. I know I'm weird, but I genuinely enjoyed commuting on the trains. I love the tube, and I feel like I fed that part of my personality for a long time, for 7 years. And to be honest, I feel like I was also feeding it all the way through my school career and my university career. And then there's been this bit inside me, which I feel like has really only started to get very loud in the later part of my 20s, that was just like deeply unsatisfied. And I think it's just a creative element to me that was feeling like the corporate work that I was doing was just not satisfying all of me anymore. It was only satisfying a part of me, and I really wanted to explore the other part. So after doing YouTube alongside my corporate job for about 18 months, I finally switched to doing it full time at the beginning of May of this year, 2024. And that was because my contract actually came to an end. So after a while, I stopped being a full-time employee for the big 4 firm that I worked at, and I started being a like freelance contract. So then I'm on much shorter contracts. Anyway, my contract came to an end, and instead of starting a new one, I decided to say goodbye to that world for a short time. I never wanted to commit to leaving entirely fully, because there was a part of me that loved that world. There's a part of me that still does. I would still recommend the company that I worked for to anybody that asked me, especially at the beginning of your career. It taught me so much, had such a big leg up, and I genuinely might go back at some point in my life. However, the part of me that thinks I might go back is shrinking and getting smaller. I am loving doing YouTube so much, and the more that I grow and the more opportunities that I get to turn it into a business, the more the corporate side of me is also being satisfied by YouTube, where I feel like I get to be a full-on creative, and I'm also starting to build an actual business and getting to flex those muscles as well. So the long and short of it is basically, if I can continue to do YouTube full-time, then that is what I want to keep pursuing for now. I'm absolutely loving it. There's no part of me that is unsatisfied with any element of my YouTube experience. The only reason that I would go back to corporate life in the near future, I'm talking like the next 6 months to a year, would be for financial reasons, if I'm being completely honest. I was definitely earning a lot more in my corporate career. So all of my lifestyle and my expenses in this house, you know, they're all based around that income that I was making, not the income I'm making now. So that's just something that I need to keep managing. And if I can increase my income from YouTube, and if I feel like I can manage my finances successfully enough being self-employed, then I'll stick at what I'm doing. And if I feel like, actually, you know what, it suits Cameron and I and the lifestyle that we're trying to build and like the family home that we're trying to build better for me to go back to corporate life and a corporate salary for a little bit, then I'll do that. And I'm super open and flexible to either option, but I'm gonna do everything I can to stick to the full-time YouTube thing. So I feel like that answers quite a few questions. I've got some more here. How are you enjoying being a full-time YouTuber? Any plans on returning to the corporate world? Don't you miss your 9 to 5? So hopefully that answers all of those. I've also got a lot of questions here about what equipment I use. What are my YouTube must-haves? What equipment do you think you need to start a YouTube channel? So talking about equipment first, I cannot tell you how little equipment you need to get started. I will link all of the equipment that I use in the description box. I have got all of it linked to my Amazon storefront. I started off with the Sony ZV-1 camera. I actually bought that before I posted my first YouTube video as a bit of an investment in my first creative hobby. And at the time, the iPhone that I had was really rubbish, so that wasn't a viable option for me. So I started off with that camera and a tripod and an Apple Mac. I just used iMovie to edit my videos. So I had iMovie to edit my videos on my Mac, I had the Sony ZV-1 and a tripod, and that was all I had. If I had the iPhone that I have now, I've got the iPhone 14 Pro, I would not have bothered with the camera. I use now the iPhone 14 Pro for every single one of my clips that are filmed outside of the house. So whenever I'm out shopping, whenever I'm out anywhere that's not inside my home, I'm using my iPhone. And I just think the quality is amazing. You might be able to tell a little bit of a difference, but I just love using my phone. It feels way less like embarrassing or awkward to film with your phone than with a whole camera when you're just getting started with vlogging, and it feels a bit awkward or embarrassing, even though it shouldn't be, to like whip out your camera when you're out in public. Using your phone is just so easy. So if you've got a decent phone and you're interested in getting started, just use that. I have treated myself to a new camera. I'm currently filming this on the Sony ZV-E1, and I have to be honest, I absolutely love it. It is more of an investment camera. It's got a proper lens on it, and I told myself that I could buy this camera once I hit 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that's exactly what I did. So I've only had this camera for maybe the last 7 or 8 months. It's amazing, I love it, but it is quite bulky, so I don't take it out and about with me. It's just perfect for at home when it can go on my big tripod, and that is all the actual equipment I use. In terms of software that I use now, I have since upgraded from iMovie, and really, when it comes to software, you just don't need to look any further than the Adobe Creative Cloud, which just caters to all of my needs. Photoshop in particular, I use all the time. I am actually working with Adobe, and they are sponsoring today's video. Literally all of Photoshop's features are super helpful. There's the spot healing and repair feature, which can literally remove like blemishes or unwanted marks or objects from any of your images. So if there's someone in the background, or if there's something in the background that you don't want, Photoshop can remove that for you. If you are a photographer with a proper camera and you take raw photos, then you can do all of your professional grading and editing in Photoshop. And they've also now got a number of AI features in there as well. There's generative expand and generative fill. Generative fill, you can type in what objects you want to add to your photos or fill in, and it will generate that for you. And generative expand, you can draw outside of the image that was actually taken and type in what you want Photoshop to expand the image to be. So for example, if I wanted to extend my bookshelves to look like I've got a huge long library, it can do that. If you've taken a picture outside and you want the wall to extend further so you could put some text over the wall, you can ask it to do that. So if you are a creative professional, or even if you're not, but you're looking to level up some of your work and you don't yet use Adobe, then I would highly recommend checking it out. I'll put a link in the description box for you to do so, but thank you very much to Adobe for sponsoring this part of the video. Okay, last few questions on the career type stuff, because there are actually so many. I could literally have a whole video just on the career bits. But what does a 9 to 5 day as a YouTuber look like? Do I have a routine for that? And then one that I think goes with it quite nicely is, how's the career break? I'm thinking of one. I suppose the first thing to say is that this is definitely not a break. It was a break from corporate life, but I have never worked harder in my life. I'm putting in more hours than I ever did with my 9 to 5. This work consumes me more than my corporate work ever did. I do not turn off my computer at 6 o'clock and log off on Fridays for the weekend. It feels kind of like a round the clock job, but I just love it so much. So it doesn't feel like it's draining me in the way that if I was still doing my corporate job and I was working the hours that I'm working now, I just feel like I'd be completely burnt out. So with that said, I don't really have a 9 to 5 day routine. I'm still trying to build one. I've been trying to build one since May, and the fact that I don't have one yet, well, maybe that's a testament to me being disorganized, but I think it's a testament to how complex it feels to create a routine when my job is so creative. It's very hard to schedule creativity. I do use Notion, which I really love. Oh, I should have mentioned that in the software part as well, actually. It's an organizational tool. I really love using Notion. And I try and schedule out my days in there. But say if I schedule myself a couple of hours to conceptualize and storyboard a video, and then a few hours in the afternoon to film a video, creative ideas come to me at any random time. So I often find that if I've scheduled 2 hours to storyboard a video, during those 2 hours, I'll be like, I just don't have any good ideas right now. And I'll be really trying to force it, and actually that's a much better time for me to then switch and start doing some emails, and then all of a sudden at a completely random time I'll be out on a walk, I'll be watching TV, I'll be in the shower, and an idea will come to me, and I'll end up diving for my camera or diving for my laptop to document my thoughts. So maybe the creativity thing is just overstimulating me a bit, but I just think that it's very hard to schedule into a routine. But I'm doing what I preach in all of my routine videos, which is I've got a list of all the things that make me feel good and that help make me feel successful in any given day. To me, that is waking up early. Early is a different definition to everybody. To me, early is 6:30. When I wake up at 6:30, I feel great. Waking up early, drinking water, nourishing my body with good food, getting daylight in my eyes as quickly as I can when I wake up, making sure that I've got fresh air, winding down in the evening, lighting candles, reading before bed, no screens before bed. As long as I'm doing all of those component parts at some point in my day, I tend to find that I feel like I have a good day. And at the moment, the work is just kind of chaotically crammed around all of those things. So at the moment, I suppose my routine is more of a checklist and ticking off each of those things rather than a set structure of how I run my days, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I suppose last thing I'll just say on the YouTube point is it's a lot of work, and if it's something that you think you want to do, definitely don't get into it for the money. I do care about money, so my belief is that YouTube has huge potential to earn me money, but it's a long slog to get to the point where it's going to be earning you big bucks, and it is very all-consuming and it does require a lot of hard work. So I think don't take it too lightly if you decide that you want to jump into it. But if you think it might be for you and it's been niggling in the back of your mind, then it's the best decision I ever made. Okay, right, I'm gonna move on from the career stuff and dive into wedding stuff. So I've had so many questions about the wedding. Do we have a date? Am I planning to document it? Is it going to be in the UK or South Africa? How's the wedding planning coming along? What's my ideal venue, season, style? Okay, let's talk about the wedding. Okay, so the first thing to say is I am going to be documenting the process. Yes, the first episode of the wedding series is nearly ready. I have been filming since June/July, so I hope you're ready for some summery content to come back at you, probably right as we're heading into winter. I've been filming it bit by bit, but it has been a very slow process. I think the upfront stuff that we've been doing has been very admin heavy. We've been nailing down a planner, we've been nailing down our budget. I cannot tell you, you'll hear all of this in the wedding series video, but the volume of conversations that Cameron and I have had to agree our budget, and weirdly how like profound and deep those conversations have become as a couple in our relationship in order to just agree something that feels quite admin based has been crazy. We've been having huge discussions about what's important in our lives. Do we want some of that money to be focused on our future family? Do we want it to be on building our home? Do we want to really celebrate us and our relationship with a big wedding because we're so grateful for the love that we've got and we want to make a big deal out of how much we love us? So there's been a lot of conversations. Anyway, we've now agreed our budget. We've now agreed our planner. I'm totally spoiling the first episode of the wedding series. So you'll have to wait and see where we're up to, but we're now in the full swing. I now think we're going to be able to start producing a lot more wedding content. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I have gone on my first wedding dress try-on appointment as well. I did not film my first one. I just went and did that with my mum and my sister, and I wanted to just really be in the zone to do that with them and have a really special day. but I didn't find the one. So another spoiler alert, I did not find my dream dress on my first wedding dress try on, which I feel like that must be super rare to find your dream dress on your very first try, but I didn't find my dream one, so I will film future sessions and show you any of the dresses that I actually don't choose, so you can see what they look like. But a few things I think I can say about the wedding without spoiling future videos is, one, we are set on it being in South Africa, which is so exciting. We're going to have it somewhere in the Cape Town region. We also have a dream venue, which if all goes to plan, hopefully we're going to secure. We haven't seen it in person, so that really might change. We have booked our flights. We are going to South Africa in January to see the venue and to look at some other venues as well to see what we want to do. So in terms of like the scale of our wedding and the vibe of our wedding, we have made some pretty big decisions now, and now we can kind of get excited about executing it and documenting that process. To just answer a couple of these questions then, in terms of vibe, I wanted to feel like an English garden party in South Africa. I really want it to feel like marrying, well, pun intended, the two heritages and cultures together. So I feel like if we're getting married in South Africa, I want it to feel a little bit English. I wanted to have some of those like English influences, and to me that probably just means like the florals. I want it to be outside English garden party. That's the vibe we're going for. And the size. So we've nearly finalized our guest list. We're going to invite 80. So we think it'll probably end up being about 60 people. Of course, all 80 might come, but for a lot of people, we are asking them to travel all the way to South Africa, and that flight's not cheap. That flight time is not short. So we really understand, and there is zero pressure for any of our guests to fly all the way there to celebrate with us. But it's such a special place to me, to be honest, because I just feel like I got to fall in love with him so much more when I got to see where he was from, meet his family there. It was the first place that I met all of his family, met his grandparents, and every time I've been to Africa in general, because I've always had family that have lived in other parts of Africa, and now every time that I've been to South Africa, there's just a magic to the place that speaks to me on probably a very spiritual level, and I'm not overly spiritual, but there's something that just like hits me about Africa that just feels amazing. Anyway, so we're definitely gonna get married there, but relatively small wedding, English vibes, but in South Africa, and I'm so excited for it. I suppose the last wedding question is, there's a lot of questions about date. We actually do have a date in mind. Obviously it will depend on the venue, but like I said, we've got a venue that we really love, and we've inquired for that date and it is available. So they are actually holding our venue for us until we go see it. So we've got a date, but I'm not going to share it. That's going to be a surprise. But you've got a while to wait, because if it helps you work it out at all, we're not going to get married in South African winter. We're going to get married when it's summer there and their seasons are flipped from ours. So that might give you some clues. So it's not a wedding next summer English time, because that weather would not be good in South Africa at that time. Okay, actually no, final one on the wedding stuff is any advice for not second guessing every decision in the wedding planning process. Obviously I am at the beginning of it, so I don't know the answer to that just yet, but I definitely recommend just getting super clear on what your vision for the day is up front and super early. Like I said, so it's now October and we got engaged in June, so July, August, September. So it's taken us a good like 3.5 months to get clear on what we want, what our budget is, going back and forth on different things, me doing the same thing. The dress I always thought I wanted, I think my vision has changed. I'm having to factor in the heat of South Africa into my wedding dress decisions. So getting super clear on it, and then my plan, once I've got that set, I'm then going full steam ahead with just enjoying the process and executing my vision. Budget has helped so much with that. I have finalized my wedding dress budget. I will not be spending a penny more than that. They are so obscenely expensive. So in my head, I'm just then going, I've got this little pot of money, or this large pot of money, because it's crazy how much they are. I would never spend that much on any other dress, and I'm just gonna have a great time spending it. And then I'm not gonna get caught up in, oh, there's this really lovely dress that's only £300 more than the dress that you've tried, and then you convince yourself that that's nothing, and £300 is so cheap in comparison to the rest of the cost of the dress. And you can get really then stuck flip-flopping between, oh, should I, shouldn't I? I'm just not going there. I'm going into the shops and I'm going, let me see every dress that's this much or less, and then we're just having a party and just trying them all on and picking my favorite. I also think that trends change, you change, And these days people get married over such a long period of time. I feel like you used to get engaged and then get married, or not even get necessarily engaged at all. It would just be a decision that you were going to get married and then you did it. Now it takes a year or 18 months or 2 years or even longer. So of course your opinions might change. I think you just have to view it as a day that celebrates the love that you have for each other. And if you look back in 5 years and wish you'd worn a slightly different dress or wish you'd had slightly different flowers, just remind yourself that at the time that was the dress that you wanted, at the time those were the flowers you wanted. And just not overcomplicate it too much in your mind. Just enjoy the process, and it's just a party at the end of the day. It's a celebration of how cool is it that we've found each other and that we get to love each other for hopefully our entire lives. And if not every element of that is perfect, it so doesn't matter as long as you get to celebrate at the end of the day. I hope that helps. But very easily in a couple of months I could be second guessing absolutely everything, and that could not be helpful advice at all. Okay, relationship questions. So first up, the question of a dog came up a few times. I know I'd be an excellent dog mum. You don't need to tell me, but also thank you very much. I am so desperate to be a dog mum. I want one so much. We love dogs. Cameron wants so much. I think he's cracking even more than me, which I've always been like the more obsessive animal lover out of the two of us, but he's getting so desperate for a dog every time we puppy sit. He just has just a whale of a time. So do I. I don't know how long we're going to last before we eventually crack. My thought is to wait until after the wedding. I think that I am going to love the puppy that we get so much that the thought of getting married in another continent without them is going to make me not want to get married in South Africa, and it's going to make me want to get married in England when the dog can come. And I don't want to miss this thing so much more away. So if I can help it, I'd wait another year until after the wedding. But I don't know if we're going to be able to wait that long. It's a battle of wills. Every now and again we're like, no, we're enjoying our lives completely responsibility free right now. And there is something to that as well. We are loving life so hard right now. We keep saying to each other, we need to really feel super grateful and take a proper mental note of this period of our lives and how much we're enjoying it, because we know that life sends crazy curveballs your way when you're least expecting it, and everything ebbs and flows. And this is probably the most responsibility free that we're ever going to be. It's just the two of us. We both manage our mortgage, and that's about the extent of our responsibilities. And we know how lucky we are for that. And I've had dogs before, so I know how much work they are, and it is not a decision to be taken lightly to add a new member to your family. And I would want to make sure that when we do add a dog to the family, it gets all of our love and respect and attention that it needs and deserves. And right now we're kind of thriving just being the two of us and enjoying our first home together. So I don't know, basically, but yes, we will absolutely be a family with a dog at some point. We'll just have to see how long we hold out for. Okay, after dogs is the babies question. The terrifying truth is that I kind of see getting a puppy and a baby, not that you get a baby, but getting a puppy and having a baby being at the same time in our timelines, which is probably a terrible decision to have a puppy and a new baby at the same time. But yes, Cameron and I absolutely want children. He would be the most incredible dad. He's so natural at it every time we encounter babies or children, and I'm so excited to see him as a dad. I just think he'll be just so good at it. He's literally made for the role. So all we can do is cross our fingers that everything goes smoothly when we start trying, which will be after we get married. I don't know how soon after we get married. Again, we'll just have to wait and see what life is doing for us at that time, but I know that fertility and trying to conceive is a different experience for everybody, but I'm confident that even if we have challenges with that, and hopefully we don't, but even if we did, children will be in our future, some way or another, for sure. I know deep down that Cameron and I are meant to have a family together, so it will happen. I've also got a question here. What are my boyfriend's red flags? Well, first of all, I've upgraded him. I gave him his promotion. He's fiance, not boyfriend. And second of all, that man is a walking green forest. Forget a flag. He is the whole forest. He doesn't have any red flags. Genuinely, he doesn't have any red flags. I wouldn't agree to marry him if he did. He has a lot of beige flags that irritate me all the time. Like, he knows he's good at everything, and then he'll try something and he actually will be that good, and that's so annoying to me. But he's like, I know I can do that. And I'm like, how do you know you can do that? There is no evidence that you can do that. And he's like, I just know I can do it. And then he'll do it, and he can. And that's frustrating, but it's also excellent having a man that can do everything. So beige. He also is, another beige flag for you, is he is a bit of a clean freak. He went to boarding school, so he was kind of raised in like relatively, I always joke that they're kind of like military conditions, but he had the best time at boarding school. But it just means that he's very, like, everything's folded neatly. He cleans everything a lot. So a lot of the time I feel a lot of guilt and I feel like I'm the messy one, and I'm not used to that feeling because all the way until I met him at 27, I thought I was neat and tidy and organised, and he makes me question that about myself quite hard. But I'm not complaining about a man that keeps things clean and tidy, so that's another beige flag. Anyway, he has no red flags, so that's that one. Okay, I feel like those were all like the main categories. Now we're just gonna answer some random ones. Where do you buy the most of your clothes? They always look such good quality. Thank you, that's so kind. I'd say the main places that I buy clothes are Free People, Suzanne, and Tala, to be honest. I'm not a massive shopper though. I think for fashion advice, I'm probably not the main gal for you, although I will try and share more because when you ask, I feel so flattered, but I do try and just invest in high quality basics. I tell you what I've been loving at the moment. Marks and Spencers are coming through so hard. Every time I shop with M&S at the moment, it's so good. For literally everything, home stuff, clothes, the food has always been fantastic. So I'd say those are my top places that I shop. What a fun question. What's your favourite Taylor song and era? Well, it's a fun question and an extremely mean question. How am I supposed to pick that? I actually don't know if I can do that. I think my favourite Taylor song is The Manuscript from the Torture Poets Department anthology. That's a relatively new one, so as like an old-time Swiftie, it feels weird to pick a brand new song, but every time I listen to The Manuscript, I cry. Every single time. There's something about it that hits so hard for me, so I love The Manuscript. My era, I can't pick an era. I think the truth is that my era has to be Reputation, only because I've watched the Reputation Stadium tour more times than should ever be allowed. And when I first watched it, I literally had full body chills so aggressively for the entire thing. And that was the first thing I remember. I watched it on a plane for the first time. And I turned to my sister and I said, I have never seen anybody love their job so much. I was like, look at Taylor. She is having the time of her life. I want to love my job that much. And I want to do something like that. Like, I don't want to be a singer, but I genuinely believe that watching that again and again and again was what made me start my own swimwear business, which I've now shut, and become a YouTuber and like keep pursuing things that brought me that level of extreme joy. So even if like rep songs are not necessarily all my favorite, Reputation has to be my era, and I'm gonna say The Manuscript as my favorite song, but that is subject to change. Like, if you're a true Swiftie, it's too hard to choose just one. Did you sell your old London flat? Yes, we did. Did your friends or, this is actually going back to more of a career question. Did your friends or family have any concerns about you leaving your corporate life and starting YouTube? Yes, they did. And honestly, it's been the hardest part for me. It hasn't been too hard in the sense that I couldn't not do it. I felt this pull to do YouTube and there was no stopping me. But like, family especially, I think they just want you to be safe and secure, and I think the parents' want for a child's safety probably just tops all else, and it is risky, and I had invested so much of my life in building a successful corporate career and I really was thriving at it. I don't want to sound too arrogant, but I was good at it. Like, I was really good at corporate life and I enjoyed it and I was good at it, and the truth is I'm not naturally as good at YouTube. I love it and I hope I'm getting better at it, and I love that you are watching my videos and that you enjoy them, but I feel like I'm having to put in so much extra work to learn how to be good at YouTube, and I'm not someone that's like blown up overnight or within 6 months. Like, I've been doing this for 2.5 years now and I'm still working away at it. I was not one of those kind of like overnight successes, but I had people on YouTube saying, don't quit 9 to 5, don't quit 9 to 5. I'm only here for your corporate life videos and I'm going to unsubscribe if you stop making these videos. And obviously a huge portion of you guys found me from my 9 to 5 videos. So there was that worry that if I stopped doing 9 to 5 and filming 9 to 5 videos, that no one was ever going to watch me again. And then I had family members and friends saying, are you really sure that you want to leave such a well-paying corporate job that you've worked so hard for? All your qualifications are geared towards that. I did it anyway and I'm loving it. But yes, so if you're also experiencing outside noise, sometimes you just got to do it anyway. And maybe those people are right and maybe those people are wrong, but you just have to trust your gut. And if you make a mistake and actually they were right all along, if they really care about you, then they'll be there to help scoop you up when you need them. but you've got to trust your instincts. Okay, I've also got a lot of questions on fitness and what I eat and how to stay in shape and all those types of things. Honestly, those of you that have been around for a while, you know that fitness is a constant struggle for me. Trying to stay active is one of those things that I'm still trying to crack. I just seem to always prioritize other things. But right now I'm doing a mix of Pilates and running. And I go to the gym with Cameron on his like guest membership. So when he goes, sometimes I go with him and just like pay the fee as a guest. I don't have my own gym membership. I'd say I'm doing well at the moment if I go once a week. And that's not good enough by my own standards. Like I have set a higher bar for myself than once a week. I'm still working on it. Nobody's perfect. We've all got our own things we struggle with. And I struggle with exercise consistency because in my head I'm like, well, I could either get up and go to the gym or I could curl up on the sofa and read a book, and the books win almost every single time. So somehow books and work need to come down the pecking order just slightly so that I can keep my body fit and healthy. Mostly because I want to have a body that works super well for me when I'm 80. I want to be able to get up and out of my chair, and I want to be able to play with my grandchildren, and that's only going to be the case if I strengthen my body. And then food-wise and what I eat a vegetarian or actually a pescatarian based diet. So I don't eat any meat. I haven't eaten any meat for 6 years, something like that now. I do eat dairy, I do eat fish, but mostly I just try and eat whole foods, and I always try and make sure my plate has a good amount of vegetables in it and a high variety of colours. I basically focus my foods on being as colourful as possible. So if you're going through a phase where you're thinking, all the foods on my plate look quite beige, then think about adding in some colour. Likewise, if my plate looks super green, yes, okay, hypothetically, that's really healthy if you've got lots of different green on your plate. But I'm then like, well, maybe there should be some tomatoes or carrots or beetroot or any other items that add colour, because the higher the variety of colour, the higher the variety of micronutrients, and that's all the stuff that's super good for your body. And I believe, without being a scientist, that the better quality fuel that I put in my body, the better my metabolism. And I feel like that helps the control of my weight so much. And I have no idea if that's accurate, but let's not worry too much about how much we weigh or what our actual body shape is like. So much of that is genetic. It's honestly all about how you feel. And I feel super good when I eat a lot of plants. So that's honestly what I prioritize doing, is just feeling good. I just want to live a really great life and have a great time almost every single day. And so to me, I know that if I eat loads of rubbish, I feel super sluggish and I just feel like tired and worn out and a bit gross. And I don't like feeling that way. So I just eat foods that make me feel really good about myself. And most of the time, that's pasta and vegetables. Okay, I'm sorry, there's so many more questions, but I have to stop yapping now. I've just seen how long I've been talking for on the timer. So I'm gonna do for the very last question, where do I see myself in 5 years and what is my 5-year plan? Honestly, it's such a short answer. In 5 years, I hope to be married to the love of my life, have a dog, and probably have a baby too. And I just want my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan, my life plan to be babies and animals and Cameron and living in a lovely home. And that's basically it. And I can honestly say that is my dream life. And what's so cool is I feel like I am fully on the way to having all those things. I suppose the fourth element to babies, dogs, and Cameron is my career, which right now is just taking front and center of my life and gets the most amount of my time. So I'd like for that to balance out a little bit, but if I'm really honest, I hope I'm still doing this. I hope I'm still doing YouTube in 5 years' time and loving it as much as I'm absolutely loving it now. And I hope it's making me a salary that's as good or better than my corporate one. And I just continue to be able to build this super cool community and maybe even do more events where I get to meet some of you, which would be so much fun. I feel like I've got so many ideas to just build this community. But it's all very exciting. Anyway, that is it from me. If you are still here, then wow. Leave a comment of a heart emoji if you're still here, because you've done seriously well. So cheers to you, because I really can go on, and I feel like today has been especially long. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want me to do another one of these, and I could do another one in a few months' time, maybe at the beginning of the year if you've got any more questions. There'll be way more wedding chat in the wedding videos that are coming up, but for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the loveliest week, and I truly cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys, cheers.